Students are arriving at a North Toronto high school this hour, but for counseling, not for class. Classes are cancelled there after a student was shot and killed yesterday. Students have already set up nearly 24 memorials to Jordan Manners on the social networking website Facebook. Detectives told CBC News earlier today in an exclusive conversation the shooter may have been a student. They interviewed about a dozen people overnight. Now, we want to give you a unique look now inside the neighborhood where that deadly shooting happened. This is an excerpt we're going to show you from a Fifth Estate documentary called Lost in the Struggle. You perhaps watched it earlier this year when it was shown on CBC News World. Two young filmmakers put viewers on those troubled streets. We're going to meet them and talk to them in a moment. But first, we want to show you some of the documentary. The voice you will hear is the Fifth Estate's host, Gillian Finley. And we want to warn you there is some graphic violence and language in this excerpt, and some of you may find it disturbing. Well, let's listen in to a portion of this documentary report.
And then there is Freshie, the wannabe.
Sometimes I might need this when I'm doing like little heists, this and that. You know, get a bit strapped up, wear all the black. You know what I'm saying? See, if I were to come up to you, any time of the day, show up exactly like this, and with a gat in my hand, what would you think? What would you think if I were to roll up like this? You'd be scared shitless, right? You'd be scared shitless. I'd be like, yo, give me your money.
But as Freshie is about to find out, he's not as slick as he thinks he is. He's lured outside, away from his homework. He thinks he's among friends. But then the mood turns. The one wielding the pipe is his hero. It's Chucky.
The filmmakers who brought us that look, Paul Nguyen and Mark Simms, are my guests in studio. Thanks for being here today. That's tough to look at. Again, even though we've seen it before as part of the documentary. Give us a sense, Mark, I mean, we've seen it so clearly there, of just how pervasive violence is in the neighborhood where the shooting took place yesterday.
Well, there's a lot of misconceptions. A lot of people think that it's a village of guns, but it's not really like that. I mean, my parents, they've been living there since 1975, and they haven't seen any violence in that neighborhood, and they plan on retiring in that neighborhood. Paul's parents as well are same situation. So it's not as bad as a lot of people will make it out to seem. I think that the situation that happened yesterday was an isolated incident because I know Jordan personally, and he's a good kid, you know, and he wouldn't do anything like that.
Okay, I want to come back to what you know of Jordan, but let's just, since we're looking at that neighborhood scene, so in parts of the neighborhood, it's normal neighborhood, just there are clearly some pockets of violent activity. We saw Freshie, one of the characters there, wielding a gun like there was, you know, like it was a matter of fact. Just how prevalent are guns in parts of the neighborhood, Paul?
Well, I mean, in the case of Freshie, I think he was an example to show of misguided youth in the area. And I mean, there are guns in Jane and Finch, but there are guns elsewhere in Toronto.
Sure.
It's just that we get 90% of the coverage. So it seems like it's, you know, the worst place in the world. But, you know, comparatively speaking, you know, Jane and Finch is not bad if you compare it to the Bronx or somewhere in the States. I mean, Jane and Finch is a very nice neighborhood. And like Mark said earlier, a lot of people plan on retiring there and because they love the neighborhood.
And families. And you're a student, Paul. You were a student at C.W. Jeffries, the school where this happened. I was talking to David Miller earlier in the program. He was my guest, and he was saying it's a great school. It's an art school. Tell us a little bit about the school from your experience.
Yeah, actually, Mark and I, we both went to Jeffries, and it was known for the art program. Compared to other schools, you know, certain reputations, Jeffries had a really stellar reputation as a really good school without any trouble. And during my time there, I had many great experiences and opportunities at Jeffries, and I don't want people to think that because of this incident now Jeffries is a you know, gang-banging place, because it's not like that at all.
It tends to get a lot of headlines when something sensational like this happens, but it's the first time that we think in Toronto anything like that inside a school has ever happened. You mentioned you were familiar with this 15-year-old who was killed. Tell me a little bit about how you knew him, Mark.
Well, I actually knew him through his mom. I used to hang out with his mom. And his mom was a community leader you know. And she was someone that actually helped a lot of the people in the community. A lot of the values that Jordan's mom had, Jordan obviously had himself. And that's why I disagree with a lot of the claims of him being in a gang or this being gang affiliated. This is not gang affiliated at all.
No, from all reports that we've had so far, you know, he apparently went to school regularly, thought about, you know, becoming a vet. I think he had wanted to become a vet perhaps at some point. Some of the reports that I had met. Now, you met him specifically, though, through your work at a gym. Tell me about the connection there.
Well, I was actually working at a gym at York University, and sometimes Jordan and a few of his friends would sneak into the gym to come and work out. And I always just let them work out because it was during the summertime and I know they had nothing else to do and they were just bored. So I seen it as a way as a way of getting them off of the streets and getting them into something that would be positive.
Did you talk to him, get a sense of what kind of a team?
Sometimes I would help him and his friends out, you know, bring them through some workout drills and so forth. But that's basically about it, though.
Quiet?
Yeah, real quiet. Real quiet.
And back to you, Paul, for this. When you met Jordan's mom, her name is Lorraine Small. You met her for your film. You kind of refer to her as the unofficial mayor of Shoreham. Tell me, I mean, she'll obviously be going through an excruciating loss right now, but what kind of a person is she?
Well, from my experiences with her, she loved the neighborhood tremendously with all her heart. She wasn't afraid of. She didn't buy into the hype. She even told me that, when she leaves her house, or she would never lock the front door. And this is Jane and Finch, in the heart of Jane and Finch.
So she believed in a safe, secure neighborhood.
Yeah, and she was really, interactive with all the kids. And she told us that a lot of troubled kids would, come to her house and stay over. She accepted basically everyone, and she had open arms to everyone in the neighborhood.
What do you think, Paul, is going to be the response to her and the community to react to this event, to help her through this event, knowing the community as you do? How do you think it's going to respond?
Well, in particular with Jane and Finch, it's a very tight-knit, small community. I'm pretty sure everyone will embrace her, especially because she has a lot of connection with the residents there from her work. She even helped people fix their houses. I mean, all sorts of stuff. And I'm pretty sure they're going to embrace her and help her through this time, and we all wish her the best.
Mark, thanks very much. Paul, thanks very much for coming in. Appreciate your insight. You know the neighborhood so much better than most of us do, and it's been a valuable peek into it. Thank you so much. CBC News Morning will take a short